welcome to the inside of my car. I'm Rachel and I'm a Young Life College leader at the University of Evansville. And today I'm just going to talk through a few scriptures with you, just chat with you a little, and hopefully get you thinking on a few things. So today we're going to be in the book of Job. And Job is pretty much smack dab in the middle of the Old Testament. And his story is kind of a weird one, but there is so much to learn from it. So let me tell you a little backstory about Job. He's basically got it made. He's a great guy. He's got a huge family, an even bigger farm, and he's described in one of the verses as the greatest person of all the people in the East. So he's basically a really big deal. But where we tune in onto Job's life, he is not having a great time. His family's suffering. His animals got stolen, and his wife's mad at him. At one point, it gets so bad that he just shaves his head, full Britney Spears breakdown style, 2007. So yeah, nothing's really going right. So at this point, Job just starts to question God and his plan for his life, and wondering why he has to go through any of this, if things are really fair right now, maybe if God made a mistake in letting all of this happen to him. So yeah, that's where we're at. So right now I'm just gonna kind of hit pause for a second, and if you don't have a pen and paper with you, I want you to go grab one. So pause the video and go grab a pen and paper. Okay, hopefully you got one. Otherwise I kind of sound really dumb right now, but that's pretty usual, so it's fine. So on the pen and paper, I want you to write, down the answer to this question, or just think about it for a little, or write down whatever comes to your mind, whatever you want to do. This is kind of just your little journal entry to yourself. Have you ever been in a situation like Job where you feel like life is a little unfair? Like maybe you're going through something that you don't need to be going through, like God made a mistake in letting you go through all of this and you don't deserve what you're going through? Are you just a little confused about what's happening? So just think about that for a little while and write down the answer to that question. Okay, so let's keep listening in. So Job is going on and on about injustice, and then his friends start jumping in, and let me tell you, they are no help whatsoever. They just start telling Job what he must have done wrong to deserve this, and then if that wasn't bad enough, they literally start listing off bad things that Job probably did to deserve this. So they're terrible friends, first of all, but then they're definitely no help in directing him in the way that he's supposed to be thinking. So finally, God has enough of this back and forth and just shows up dramatically in this big whirlwind. And he starts speaking to Job directly. And that's where we come in. So God speaks for a couple chapters. We're not going to read that much. We're just going to read a few verses. So if you have your Bible with you, or you need to go get it, go get it. But we are going to be in Job chapter 38. Verses 4 through 7 and 16 through 21. So that's Job chapter 38, verses 4 through 7 and 16 through 21. Sorry, that's a lot of numbers. And if you don't have your Bible, don't worry. We'll probably have the verses up on the screen for you to follow along. And I'll be reading it out loud, so you don't have to worry about that. Lost my paper. Where were you when I laid there its foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footing set, or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, and all the angels shouted for joy. Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the deepest darkness? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me, if you know all this. What is the way to the abode of light, and where does darkness reside? Can you take them to your places? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? Surely you know, for you were already born. You have lived so many years. Okay, wow. So basically God said, on a scale of 1 to 10, Job, how old are you? He just made him take a seat and get a whole serving of just reality check. So for all of us, there are times in our lives where things are not ideal. If you're watching this in April 2020, I know you feel me. Things are not that great right now. But even if you're not, just take a look at what you wrote on your paper or what you were thinking about earlier. Life sucks, I know. But even still, if you think about it, our view is so tiny. We just know so little, just our day-to-day and our year-to-year. Our worries are about tomorrow, or today, or this week, this summer, this year, next year. So really, we don't worry about whether the sun is rising or setting, or if the tides are coming in or not, or whether the animals have enough to eat, or how a deer gives birth, because God starts talking about that later on in the chapters, and it gets kind of weird. But basically, we don't worry about playing God in the universe. So why would we worry about trying to play God in our own lives? Our issues are so tiny compared to the grand scheme of things. And we trust God to run the universe, no problem. We don't worry about whether the sun's setting or not. But when it comes to our own lives, we think that He can't handle it. And so we try to control it for ourselves. Job's story looks a lot like one of confusion and just being scared and desperate, but if we zoom out a little, we can see that it's really the story of a man who learns to trust God no matter what. So I don't know what's happening in your life, whether your animals got stolen, or your wife's really mad at you, or you just shaved your head because things got that crazy. But I can tell you one thing for sure, this is not the end for you. I know that's a little tough to believe right now, but once you start really leaning in and trusting in the God who makes the sun set and the tides move and the wind roar, you'll begin to see that what He cares about more than the earth and the sun and the moon and the stars is you. He formed your days and your memories and your smile and everything about you before you even took a breath. So yes, He has a plan for you. And yes, it is way, way better than any plan you can ever make for yourself. And don't take it from me, take it from our friend Job. If we read on, at the end of the day, when he learned his lesson and he made peace with God, everything turns out great. His family gets restored and he gets a ton of animals. Like literally 6,000 camels and other stuff. So many animals. So just lean in that today and trust that everything will work out as it's supposed to, because God already knows the ending. And it's a good one. Even if you don't get 6,000 camels. Which you might. Only God knows. Okay, that's all I have for you. So I hope you have a good day and that you think about this for a little while. Alright, lots of love to you. Peace out.